Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Enzo, your host here on this channel where we will be discussing all things relating film. In this video in particular, we will be reviewing a rather unknown film. In fact, it wasn't enjoying a theatrical release like most films normally do, but instead was released direct to video, meaning it was distributed via CDs. The film of discussion being Night Train. It was made in 2009, written and directed by Brian King. He's an American screenwriter and director who has made a few films in his career, but it seems to have recently stopped, his last film being Haunter in 2013, for which he was nominated for the Best Screenplay by the Fangoria Chainsaw Awards, a ceremony that honors horror films, which would make sense considering Night Train is also a horror thriller suspense film. It was produced by A-Mark Entertainment and stars Danny Glover, who plays Miles, the train conductor, Steven Zahn, who plays a salesman named Pete, and Leelee Sobieski, another passenger who plays a med student. The film was about these passengers as well as the conductor who find that another passenger on the train has passed away, and on his person contains a mysterious box that contains many valuables. So the three of them scheme a way to hide the body and keep the valuables for themselves. Man, I gotta say, I love the acting from everyone in this film. I really enjoy how every character and all their careers kind of play a role into the film as it progresses. I remember being young and seeing this and thinking about how captivated I was in this thriller. I think that if you've never seen this film, you'll get the similar feeling, not just because of the good acting in it, but rather the directing and writing in it. He manages to keep pulling you into the story throughout plot development and writing, and the characters themselves are very natural, which is a great compliment to give to any actor. The things they say are natural and flowing. The suspense builds so that the characters are constantly having to overcome these obstacles, and of course these obstacles become too great to overcome, and because of this we get to learn a little bit more about the box. And we learn about the box in a way that's, I don't know, I guess you could say kind of leaving you wanting for more, which I find very, very effective in any thriller. You shouldn't be given all the information up front. Otherwise, you're satisfied, you have everything, you have your dinner and dessert at the same time, so you're ready to leave. But this film leaves you and keeps pulling you in a way, actually. I really do appreciate that. We don't learn everything about the box, which, as I mentioned earlier, I like. I like the idea of having you wanting more. So as we have some revelation about this box and what it does and why it affects people the way it does, you're just so mind blown. And if I were to critique the film in any way, in any negative way, I would say whoever was in charge of lighting or editing, there seems to be some sort of soft glow that emanates or just glows off the face of the actors throughout the film, which can be a bit distracting. It doesn't ruin the film or distract from the plot in any way. It's just a little bit unpleasant, but very bearable. Some people might not like the pacing of the film, but I did enjoy it. I would recommend watching it, and now that I went over a very general review of the film, I want to go over things about the movie that may be considered spoilers for those who want to go ahead and watch it. So if you want to go ahead and do so, I would recommend pausing the video and watching it and coming back when you're done. So the first part that I'd like to go over that would be considered a spoiler would be the box itself and its effect on the characters. The box, of course, being a symbol of what we desire most. And it can be best described as a small wooden box with viewing holes all around the side of it so that the viewer can peer into it and see the valuables inside and kind of get affected by the supernatural abilities. We find out about these abilities more in the middle of the film. When we find these characters discuss what they see in the box. One of them sees diamonds, one of them sees emeralds, and another character sees something else entirely different, which of course further insinuates the mysterious aura surrounding this box. And it's not only until a little bit later in the film that we have another mysterious passenger arrive, and is in fact inquiring about the passenger who showed up earlier in the film who had first carried the box onto the train. And this character, along with the three main characters, kind of get into an altercation in which they find out much more about the box. And even though we're learning a lot about the box, I want to remind you, we are left wanting more. This passenger specifically mentions how there's a secretive group of people who know about the box, who hunt for the box, and compete with each other for, I guess, the items in the box, or to destroy it, to keep it in their possession, what have you. And all this revelation just blows your mind, and you're like, I want to know more. And that leaves room for a potential sequel, especially something with a lot more action involved, perhaps. We do learn something else about the box during this time, something else that's really important. We find out that whoever looks into the box will die a horrible death. Not a normal death, but of a corrupted soul. This causes them to act differently, and of course will die. So this is where a lot of the actions that these characters make start to make sense. We know that people will do a lot for money, but most won't throw away their entire lives for money. For example, the conductor Miles, who we see and are introduced to as a pretty nice guy. He takes care of the train. His assistant conductor tells him not to smoke. We find that after hiding the body and scheming all this up, all these plans to keep the money for himself and whatnot, we see him go to one of the rear carts, I guess like his office cart area. He calls his wife up on the phone, and he's all giddy about the things he wants to buy for her. In this conversation, we find she's in the hospital, and that he wants to get her better medical care. We know that they're both elderly in their later years. But it's in this phone call that she says to him, he's acting a little odd. She says, "Hey, you're acting strange. What's wrong?" We see he's affected by this a lot. He's like, "Don't worry about it." And, that's when you start to realize all of these effects and decisions they've made weren't just in the name of money, but in this power that has taken over them. We then see Pete, the salesman, throw away everything to get the contents of the box. This is something we can expect from a salesman, lawyer. We all know they're all crooks. So we don't pay too much mind to this. Even stranger the case is for Chloe's character. We find that she's a studying doctor, and she's young and likely living on campus. As she says earlier in the film, she's visiting her parents for Christmas. This is a Christmas movie, if you could believe it. She has a lot riding for her. In fact, her parents likely probably pushed her into med school and are paying for her stuff. I can't imagine the stress that comes with studying all that information, all the weight that's on you to save a life. It must be a lot. We know doctors do great things for society. They're financially compensated very well for what they do. And I don't know what could have been in the box to tempt someone to throw away everything, almost like a cushiony path towards a hard career, but a worthy career. So to throw it all away is just really fucked up. We can kind of see how the box really did corrupt her soul and made them all really think about nothing but the money or whatever they saw in the box. I want to continue on with Chloe's character. There's also this fantastic scene that takes place in the rear car of the train between Chloe and Pete. He confronts her about leaving her parents hanging at the station, and through her acting, you can tell that she's in a state of focus on the treasure and cares for nothing else, and in fact responds to Pete along those lines. She's telling him she doesn't care about what her parents think or what other people think of her. They continue to talk about their lives and what they want to do with the money. Pete talks about moving to an island, using the money to just live off of, and even invites Chloe to do the same with him. She declines and mentions that she's tired of following other people's dreams and wants to do her own thing for a while. And this is what leads me to believe that she's heavily regimented and she's probably really unhappy, and that might give a little bit more depth to her character and as to why she's ready to just drop everything. This is where I have to applaud both the acting and the writing, since we got it all from those two aspects. Once all this information is revealed and the film begins to somewhat enter falling action, we have it so that even the main characters are competing against each other, which inevitably leads to some of them dying. I won't spoil the ending, but it's a pretty good ending. I'd recommend watching it, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take care.